I'm JJ Perez, Inside Runner Sports. That's Greg Lucas, San Antonio Express News. We're coming to you on a special Tuesday edition of our, I guess, reaction to the big news. UTSA is headed to the American Athletic Conference, Greg. We just finished Tuesday post-practice interviews. Not a lot of comment on that. No comment, actually.
Yeah.
But, I mean, still huge big news for the Roadrunners.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how everything plays out in terms of the timeline, in terms of what it means monetarily, and then if whatever happens with like a division setup or whatever.
Right.
They're looking at 14 teams, and it's just going to be. I think it remains to be seen how the landscape of the Group of Five lays out and what the premier leagues are, and how it all shakes. Like, because you're taking half of Conference USA and bringing it over there.
They're going to merge with the Sun Belt, or something's going to happen there.
And then. You can look at the American and you can say, I think they trumpet that they have 5 of the New Year's 6 bowl berths in this era, and
all those guys are leaving.
All of them are leaving, except for Memphis was one of those, and they say we have 3, I think it's 3 or 4 top 10 finishes, and all those are out the window.
Right.
UCF and Houston and I'm drawing a blank. Who's the other really good?
Cincinnati.
There you go. Yes, of course. The number 2 team in the nation is the one I forgot.
Yeah.
So clearly it's going to be just a different landscape, and it's going to remain to be seen what the balance of power is and what impact it has on this TV deal, which is obviously a big
That's
part
the
of it.
huge question we don't know is the revenue. Obviously, this Conference USA does not have a great TV revenue package, and this conference does. So how does that work with the new entrants, the new teams versus the existing ones? All of that are details that remain to be worked out.
Right. So, in UTSA's media rights, they reported less than 500,000 in fiscal year 2020, and the American deal is millions. But
millions.
The difference is what exists in that contract that allows them to change based on, presumably they would have written in something for realignment, because the value is different if the teams are different.
Right.
And it's a whole different setup. And then I saw some reporting yesterday, I believe it was from The Athletic, that like maybe the new schools take a smaller cut than the old schools.
Yep, I read that as well.
So then once you pull in like a exit fee and an entry fee and all of it, how is it going to shake out? But I think the point is it was a sinking ship, Conference USA, given that half the teams are gone.
Yeah.
So whether it's a good fit for you or not, based on the size of your budget and whether you can be competitive, you have to do it.
You had to do it.
You have nowhere else to go.
Right. So when you look at the teams that are leaving, it's not like UTSA could have had really
stay in the 6-team Conference
USA
for
so
what?
That, and it's going to be a net positive gain, because whatever you would hope, whatever payout you have to pay to leave Conference USA, just TV rights alone are going to get you, to the plus side of that.
Yeah, presumably. And it's just, I would have to think about it more in terms of how it works out with markets that you get into and how it changes recruiting and things like that. But, I mean, I know it's like a football-based move, but for basketball, certainly it drives up a lot of things.
A lot of stuff with basketball.
The competition is a lot higher, and so you can recruit to a higher level because the exposure's better. And what pressure does it put on the program to change facilities and
that's
upgrade
the next
things?
big question. You capital funding for the next basketball and volleyball arena.
I mean, you even have to pay Jeff Traylor more because of this. Like, there's money that you have to find and come up with. And that was obviously going to be an issue anyway in the near future, but it's even more under the spotlight now if UTSA is going to be expected to compete with these programs that are making the budgetary impact that they have and have the resources that they have. And for UTSA to be competitive this year is such an accomplishment, and to achieve what they have with 7-0 in the national ranking, but it's going to be even harder to maintain with new schedules.
Off the top of your head, do you remember what the last reported UTSA budget was?
It's $32 million.
Yeah, and then how much do they have to increase making this move now?
I think the American teams were in the 40 to 60 range is what I saw reported. I want to give that one to The Athletic too. I think they pulled all of that.
So that's a significant jump there for the Roadrunners.
Yeah, and I don't know where you find it. I mean, funding this year building was a challenge, right?
A great challenge.
They had to essentially take out a mortgage like a normal person would to be able to pay for this, because they couldn't just fundraise it right off the top. So, it's coming up with $40 million one time was impossible.
Right.
And so how are you going to come up with $20 million annually to be competitive? It's going to be tough. But again, like, maybe that's not the standard for that league anymore because of the teams leaving and the teams coming in.
So maybe it'll come back a little towards.
UTSA was already perfectly on par with these Conference USA schools, and 6 of them are now in the new league. So it's not like they're an outlier.
Right.
But it's just if they want to be at the highest level
at the top of that conference.
There are things that you have to do. But again, it's like at no point, if UTSA can't do that, could you get on them for saying, oh, you guys bit off more than you could chew and this wasn't a good move? You didn't have a choice.
You didn't have a choice.
So there's certainly challenges that come with it and new bars that you have to reach, but it was the move that had to be made.
Let's talk about just everything that's gone on the last week with a 7-0 record, the national ranking. It's Jeff Traylor's compared it to a rocket getting up, going up, and it's just all this crazy positive stuff going on. That's wild.
Yeah, who would have thought before the year that they would be 7-0 and they would be talking about a national ranking? It's crazy. So it's all positive, and that sort of helps with this momentum. I don't know how much that impact had on the AAC thing. Those conversations had to be ongoing. Maybe not before that, because I know all the stuff with the Texas and Oklahoma triggered the chain reaction in July. So perhaps this football season did have a big impact, and the steps they were able to make last year to make a bowl game. And certainly, I think that the market matters if you look at the teams that the AAC brought in. And people, I think there's this sentiment of Conference USA went after the markets, and that didn't work out. So what's that worth? But why not?
Yeah.
What other option? There's more growth potential there than in a place that doesn't have the market. There's no way that that's a negative.
Right.
So I don't really get that thinking. I think that's only a positive.
I think we both read a national article this morning that said UTSA would make contact with the Mountain West before all this as well, and Mountain West decided to stay where they're at with number of teams. So.
Right, and it sounds like the Sun Belt also is kind of just happy with where they're at.
Yeah. So what do you think about? I guess not that as a potential option, because that's certainly a conference that's right now at least on par with what it looks
with what
like.
Remains of the American. I guess I don't know. The Mountain West is just such not an intriguing
all
thing
the way
for
over
me.
there.
I just don't get it.
Yeah, East Coast bias.
Maybe that's what we were joking about this morning. That I just have always been an East Coast guy and think about things that way. But there's a school in Utah is the one I keep bringing up.
Yeah.
Who wants to go to Utah? It just seems obviously if it was a sinking ship Conference USA situation and that was your best option, they would do it, and there'd be a lot of good reasons to do it. If UTEP is going over there, at least you keep kind of a system rivalry and things like that. And there certainly would have been benefits to a move like that, but the American just feels right, in terms of recruiting and whatnot.
The footprint looks.
It just makes more sense that they're recruiting this half of the country, and they don't have to go outside Texas. I don't know how often they're going to do that anyway, but to then the benefit of getting into these western states, I don't see. If you had to pick, I would think that this would be the one that would be preferable. But again, that comes down to so many things that I don't know about. The media payouts and the future.
Lots of details remaining to be unveiled, and I think the biggest one is, when does this happen? There was a report as soon as it's going to happen, the 23-24 season.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's a lot of dominoes and then a lot of
to fall in place.
Logistics and paperwork to do. So that makes sense.
Big week out here at UTSA as the Roadrunners are winning. They make a jump to a conference that's got some notoriety, Greg. Just all things turning up for the Roadrunners this week.
Yeah, we'll see how the trip to Ruston goes. That's going to be a big one.
Never won there. Yeah, never won there. Kind of trap game before the bye week. They're all trap games if you're going to run the table.
I guess that makes a little bit of sense, just because the perspective of looking ahead to finally having that time off, that has been something that's been a little bit of a talking point this week, just because 8 in a row after going through all last season. Certainly they're recovered from last season, but just as a principle, not having an open date.
The 3 weeks in fall camp.
It does wear you down a little bit. So, yeah, there's a chance of that, but I think when you're nationally ranked and undefeated, you understand that you're playing to a level that you have to maintain. I wouldn't say, there's a getaway attitude to this game. I can't imagine that.
You have a prediction for today? Are we staying away from that?
I didn't know we were going to do predictions.
Well, I didn't want to put you on the spot here.
I think UTSA should win that game.
I think so. Yeah, they're the better team.
Louisiana Tech came off a bye week and lost to UTEP by 16.
Only 3 points.
They've played everybody close other than that.
Yeah.
But that can be good in some ways, and that's bad in some ways too.
Which Bulldog team shows up Saturday?
I don't believe in any kind of UTSA's never won in Ruston and that matters sort of thing. It matters if they think it matters and if it's in their head, but that's not the case either. For everybody in that building, it feels like UTSA history started last year. Everything before that is kind of they can look back at it and say, wow, I'm glad we're not in this place anymore.
Yeah.
But it's not what happened before that is relevant on what they do on the field now. So.
Well, those are some quick thoughts on everything going on this week for the Roadrunners. Greg, I'll see you in Ruston. All right. Thanks, guys.